Go. Obviously, there's a lot at stake here. This was a trip that was postponed after the spy balloon was flying across our country. Now, there are reports Blinken may meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Again, officials here in the U.S. not expecting any breakthrough when it comes to relations. In fact, tensions are very high over the spy balloon, also over Taiwan and all the increased activity in the Taiwan Strait. In fact, today, China's foreign ministry warned that vicious competition cannot be engaged in, and that the U.S. should not fantasize that it is dealing with China from a position of strength.
Yeah, and keep in mind, remember that President Biden met with Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit back in November. I was there, and they talked about,
in Bali,
talked about, healthy competition, but also cooperation and communication. Well, that didn't exactly play out so well, did it? Let's welcome in George Papadopoulos, former foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign. Good to see you.
Hi, George. And also alongside George, Congressman Richard McCormick, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, will be joining us in just a moment as well to talk about this trip. Obviously, tensions we know are very high, George. And we also know not only did the statement just say that the U.S. should not fantasize it's dealing with China from a position of strength, but a call Blinken had already a day ago didn't go as well either. So he's going to be wheels up now. What do you think we'll be seeing when he lands? We know Bill Gates had no problem getting access to Xi.
Well, thank you for having me. And look, the weak and feckless leadership of the Biden administration has really ushered in a simultaneous political, economic, and foreign policy crisis. There's extremely deep distrust and a total lack of respect towards the Biden administration from China. Therefore, I don't think we're going to see any major breakthroughs. And also, this prospective meeting, because as you know, the situation is very unpredictable with China right now, comes along the backdrop of the greatest geopolitical and ideological divisions since the Cold War ended. So I don't think that the Biden administration, given its lack of foreign policy success since Biden ascended to the Oval Office, will assure U.S. national interests are met during this prospective trip by Anthony Blinken. I do think he has to do exactly what he did say, and that is engage the Chinese where we can, but we have to confront them where we must.
Let's bring in Congressman McCormick here to get some insight on what he's looking for. Obviously, the trip is happening. Was supposed to happen, before the spy balloon, Congressman McCormick.
And, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates was called an old friend by Xi Jinping. It doesn't look like Blinken will even get a sit down. I don't know. Congressman, what do you think? What's your take?
Well, you know what motivates China more than anything. Since the Made in China initiative in 2015, they've done nothing but cheat their way to the top. They used to have a GDP very similar to Japan and Germany, around $5 trillion. That was in 2015. Now they're at $18 trillion, which is the second largest in the world. But they've also built up about $52 trillion of debt. Think about that. That's way more than we have, and they still have $5 trillion less GDP per year. They will cheat themselves constantly to the top. They warped the World Trade Organization, which they joined 20 years ago. They've been taken to court 27 times just by us. All they do is get better at hiding their deficiencies, hiding their cheating. They continue to use slave labor on the West Coast. They continue to supplement businesses with fiat currency from their government. They don't pay interest on their debt because they own their own central banking system. I don't really trust anything we talk with them about anyways. Quite frankly, the world needs to hold them accountable. That's the only way this is going to get done.
Especially with everything we're learning about COVID. And we want to play a little bit of what Bill Gates said after his meeting. This is what Chinese state-run media ran.
China, of course, is a fantastic example reducing poverty and improving health outcomes. And there's so many ideas and approaches that worked here in China that will be valuable to the entire world.
Wow, things worked in China there. The praising from the fifth richest man, I know, it's amazing. And yet, George, we don't even know if our Secretary of State will get access like this to one of our most adversarial countries here.
Well, what this really represents and it really underscores is the total breakdown of official communications between the United States and China. And while, of course, multinational corporations and significant business people have an impact on the bilateral relationship between the United States and China, you can never have commercial discussions without security considerations. And that's why diplomacy is so important in this relationship with China, and something, of course, that Bill Gates could not do.
Real quickly before we let you go, Congressman, I want to ask you about the Separation of Powers Restoration Act, which passed yesterday. As you know, the GOP-led House passes a vote of 220 to 211. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, it really does authorize now federal courts to review agency actions, decide relevant questions of law, including interpretation when it comes to constitutional, statutory provisions and rules. It sounds like this is trying to, put some guardrails on the Democrats' spending. I know you voted in favor. Just tell us about the significance.
Well, for the same reason that we've had problems with even the accountability with healthcare spending and accountability. If you remember, just recently we passed a bill that was supposed to be about no surprises. In other words, when you go to see your doctor, you don't get hit with a bill. We did something that was very good, but then the bureaucracy, guided by Biden's administration, made it in favor of insurance companies. And so we had an interpretation that defers to the executive power. We need to defer back to Congress, to the laws that we make. It's just in line with the REINS Act, which is disempowering all this executive power, all the bureaucracy, and empowering the lawmakers that represent you, the people, rather than the executive branch, which has become far too powerful.
Some wide-ranging implications.
Yeah, we'll follow it. Congressman McCormick, George Papadopoulos, we appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you, too. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you both, gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Still ahead, we're talking about NATO allies holding this key meeting over the war in Ukraine.